It will seem as if I think the next for us to get is to get a CCB on the program, because yesterday we were talking about capacity of the CCB. Yeah. What exactly do they do? Do they go all out to verify some of those itemized?
They are supposed to. They are actually supposed to verify it. They are supposed to verify it. But the question is, after you are leaving, because it's not about when you are coming in. We already, is it granted that what you say you have, while you are coming in, they are there. That's the truth. But what you now, while you are leaving office, in fact, that is the most important stage. Investigating whether what you have acquired since you got into office commensurates with what you earn legitimately. These are the questions. But then the unfortunate thing is that the public seems to be most times carried away by the euphoria of electioneering, that we rarely even ask questions. And by the time someone somewhere asks questions, they say, oh, you are talking like this because you are a Yoruba man. You are talking like this because you are an Igbo man. And because the other man in the eye of the storm is an Hausa man, and all of that is where we have problem. For once, if we elect that we want to be objective, Nigeria will be a better place. And I tell you one truth, that the CCB naturally should investigate. And after investigation, what are you supposed to do? If someone has flouted the law, as it were, you should be able to ask questions. But unfortunately, the docility, you see, this is where I hope someone somewhere is listening to all of this that you have been talking about and that we are talking about today. Look, can't this body do its job? Because it becomes a duty incumbent on you. A man came in with one portfolio and is now living with 10 portfolios, like my sister said. So basically, you should be able to ask questions. How did you amass all of this? That should be a role for CCB. The public, we are only trying our best to be a watchdog at large.
That's why when I asked those questions, I was wondering whether or not our cries were misplaced. Yeah. Because if we actually had we're asking for public declaration of assets. Some people will say, well, in drastic times or drastic problems require drastic measures. But, if an agency of government had done its job all along, would we be asking for instance, if people had, left office richer than they came in, unduly richer than they came into office, and, the CCB had done its job, would you think that there will be this hue and cry?
No, naturally, there shouldn't be. But then, you see, when you have, don't forget the fact that we have some peculiarities as a people. We have peculiarities. This iota of compromise has not left us. A man comes around, I'm a Yoruba man, and I find out that the man in the eye of the storm is another Yoruba man. I try to look at his people and say, okay, if I don't talk, what does it matter? I can just overlook, brush it aside. This is part of the problem that we have in this country. Someone somewhere is not really keen, and the willpower for people to go out, all org, go the whole org and say, look, this man, you have flouted the law and you must be made to answer for it. It hasn't been there. And I tell you one truth, that if there is a body that has a major role to play on this issue of corruption in Nigeria, it is the CCB. They have very major role to play, because you imagine, you need to look at our civil servants outside there. You need to imagine that, look, is it what you have acquired? Have you acquired all of this based on the 18,000 naira that you have been paid per month, or based on the 200,000 naira? Because I know that on the average, I doubt if any civil servant in Nigeria earn up to 300,000 naira per month. That's and at the end of the day, before you look at it, the man is an estate owner somewhere. He's gotten so much. He's gotten so. And nobody seems to be asking questions. These are part of our problems.
Our approach to this. The president, this administration says, look, we need to ensure transparency, fight against corruption, and ensure that things are done properly. But if on the one hand we're talking about people declaring their assets, albeit fulfilling the law, but he said he was going to make his own public, and he has done that, although there are questions about submission of it. Should we also, or it appears as though we're overlooking the other aspect, the one you talk about, remuneration of those public officers? Have we given them enough reason not to even dip their hands in the public purse?
Well, that's another angle to it. I will say that we have not done enough. I say that with the insight of the father. You see, at a point I posited, and I said all over again, let somebody give Governor Ambode of Lagos State 18,000 naira. And I want him to justify, I want him to tell me he's gotten two children, not even 4. He's gotten a wife, he's gotten a house to live. How can he convince me that 18,000 naira will take him through the month. This is how we have created problems for ourselves. A man is a judge. He earns as much as 1 million naira, if not more. And the clerk who carries the file about earns as low as 18,000 naira. And someone comes around and says, oh, Mr. Clerk, I've got a case worth 500 million naira in your court. Can I just part with some 10 million naira? I want you to do certain things with the file. So if that kind of a person, yes, legitimately he has not done the proper thing, he should be dealt with. But then we have created a very wide space for him to express his penchant for corruption. That is not a basis for anybody to be. But then do your own bit. That is the government now. For somebody earning 18,000 naira and he lives in Ikeja and he has to go to federal, he needs to get to Ikoyi almost on daily basis. How will he survive? We need to ask ourselves these questions. And these are areas that the government needs. You see, if you are expecting a man to do well, to be accountable, and to ensure that he maintains his integrity, then basically there must be a rewarding system for him. He must be so sure that, look, if I leave this job can take care of my children, perhaps 2 that will go to school. He needs to be so sure that this job can fetch me some housing reprieve, that I don't have to be a prey for Shylock landlords and all whatnot. So if we look at all of this together, we have not really done it the way it should. But I'm hoping that this government will do as much as taking us out of the woods.
There's a potpourri of issues now. You just raised a whole lot that needs to be looked into. When you talk about fighting corruption, so many things.
So many things are there together.
It's a full plate.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is.
Is it surmountable?
It is. It's surmountable. It's surmountable. You see, somebody was saying that, President Buhari has not declared the asset of his wife. Somebody said that. I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't know whether he has done that or not, but he owes a duty to do it. That's the truth. The conscience says so. That he should declare the asset of his wife publicly. And the children. No, it doesn't have to be publicly now. He ought to have.
That's the thing, because quite a number of people say, well, chances are that they've done that to the CCB.
No, if I own out that I will do something publicly for myself, I don't have to do it for my wife, except the law says I should do it. For me, I prefer that we have a law that says do it publicly. So at the end of the day, if the necessary office that should attend to it are not doing it, then the people can call both the office and the persons that are involved to question. But as it were, I cannot. If the law did not say that, does not say that President Buhari should declare his own publicly, and he said, oh, I will declare publicly, you cannot extend that kind of a moral duty to his wife and the children.
You know, in the past, when some laws that the public wants amended are talked about, you never see it doesn't fly. But now that the president is coming with this perspective, saying, no, things have to be done properly, do you think that at this stage, if they come up with that amendment bill, saying, no, yes, we know it's been there, declared to the CCB, now we have to change it, make it public. If it comes up now, do you think it will sail through?
Well, the truth must be said that, look, we need to look at the caliber of the people that are involved. I'm talking about the legislative arm now. If the allegations flying around about, somebody said, I've built an hospital of international standard, and he had a slight itch. He couldn't even go to that hospital. You can imagine. So when you now have that kind of a bill before people of the character that we are talking about, somebody somewhere, someone said sometimes ago, you recollect, so we're a president of the Senate. He said, we all borrowed money to get here. So we needed as much to go back and pay our loan. So if you have this kind of characters there, then definitely they will never pass that kind of a law. I tell you that without missing word. And you see, one thing that I found out in our politicians, I will tell you that President Buhari, with due respect, is a distinct person. Is not the peculiar politicians that you think about in Nigeria. But talking about peculiar politicians in Nigeria, when it comes to power, when it comes to money, they compromise easily. You don't belong to PDP again, you don't belong to APC again. When it comes to money and power, find it tough, so definitely this kind of a law, I can tell you one truth. I can say without missing word that, look, we might not get that kind of a thing, because they know that it exposes them. And they know, oh, I've become a professional politician, not professional in politics. Largely, they are professional politicians, and they live based strictly on what they can get from office.
If the president tells the other over maybe about 22 APC governors to say, look, I think we need to show something differently here. I've done this publicly. I think you all should go ahead and publish yours. Do you think they'll buy that?
Well, I do not really think that the president should dictate to them.
Not dictate, just say, look, I think you all should do this because
okay, should commend it to them. In fact, with what we have on ground now, he needn't even say that. He has commended it to them.
I know Jigawa says...
Yeah, he has commended it to them. And I think if my president, if I really believe in myself and in my president has made a declaration and he has sent it to the public domain, then what stops me as a governor in the same party if I have no skeleton in my cupboard and say, this is what I have? And I said this, what we really need is Nigeria has been severely milked by politicians. What they need to do now is to have mercy on Nigeria. Declare what you have now and stop stealing. And see whether Nigeria will stand on its feet. We are already on our knees. These are things that we need to do in this country. But it's unfortunate the man who has stolen so much, he left as he was a commissioner, he became governor. After becoming governor, he has now gone to the Senate. And we are talking about downward review of the salary and emoluments in the Senate. The man said, no, you cannot do that. We work so hard, we work so much. Meanwhile, he's still earning his retirement benefit as a commissioner. He's still earning his retirement benefit as a governor. So what on earth is he doing with the money in the Senate? These are people who should ordinarily close their eyes and say, look, I want to be in the Senate, I don't want to hand anything. But they still want to die there. That's more reason why those who are asking for a part-time legislation in legislative arm in Nigeria, they have said it all. In those days, while we were growing up, you can think about people like Debo Akodi. They will go to the House of Representatives in the morning. I mean, they go to court in the morning and they go to the House of Representatives in the evening. So at the end of the day, they are so happy doing it. People like Senator Abraham Adesanya and so many of their aides, and they did very well for themselves. We are talking about them today because they never do what they shouldn't do. So I think basically the politicians need to help Nigerians, because without that help, we might not get off our knees.
Good to have you on, Mr. Adekunle Ojo, former second vice president of Nigerian Bar Association, talking about the assets declaration, perhaps liabilities too. We'll be back in just a moment. Do stay with us.